Hello, what's up YouTube? I was thinking to make a video to you guys to show what I've done during this pandemic, this COVID-19 lockdown. I've started a little project that I didn't really anticipate was going to take this long and to be this complicated. It escalated a bit quite quickly, but I'm just going to make a video to show you guys in case obviously somebody's got one of these cars and wants to know what the actual rust could potentially look like in one of these. I'm just going to make an uncut version. I'm not even going to bother cutting any bits out, so however it comes out, it just comes out, fuck it. So basically this is my 2006 Mazda NC as the Mark 1, or the version 1 NC 2.0. I bought this from eBay for $2,500, had like 69,000 miles on it, 5 owners, 5 very happy previous owners. I can tell by the way the car was used. But basically, I've driven this car for like 6 months, and basically it was all fine. Didn't have anything, wasn't anything wrong with it. It's just the small bits here and there, but because I have a garage and I like to tinker with cars, I've decided I was gonna try to do some work on it, really, to here and there. Nothing big. I didn't want to spend any money because I don't have any money, but actually, as the way it turned out, it has escalated a bit quite quickly, so I'm going to show you why. I've done some bits in the interior, like changed the gaiters on the handbrake, and the carpet had holes in it, so I had to purchase a new carpet, well, an old used carpet from the wreckers, and just put it in. The seats are all right, the leather seats. This is the 2-liter Sport, by the way, so he's got like some kit on it, like some side skirts and a little spoiler there. But basically during the lockdown, I thought I was going to give this car a little clean, and what I mean by that is I noticed that on the rear of this car, there's a bit of rust. I mean, I paid actually somebody to on the wheel arches. There was some rust there just coming through, and I must have been about 4 or 5 months ago. I took it to an independent garage. Is a guy that just worked on his own on a body shop, and then I think I paid 350 quid just to do this rust. There was like some rust patches coming out here. Well, after a while, the rust actually started to come through, and I can see here again. And what I did not know at the time, obviously, was the fact that the rust on this was quite bad, actually. Obviously, I don't know why the guy didn't tell me. I've been to him a few times and kind of like did some panels, he painted some panels for me and stuff, but it's just like, yeah, he didn't really tell me, say, listen, the rust actually is coming through the wheel arches and it's on the inside, so probably you need a quarter panel, the rear quarter panel on both sides to do, and that could have been quite costly, but he just done it anyway. So during this pandemic, I started taking the wheels off and I had a look. I took the inner wheel arch liner, which is that crappy kind of, you know, that material that is just, it's not plastic, it's just some sort of fabric. I hate that because that just sometimes keeps moisture in and dirt, and it's hard to wash down, and I don't know why I didn't make it just put the plastic on, but anyway. So I took that off and I noticed it's like, shit, there's actually quite a bit of rust here. And I started taking it off. I ended up taking the whole of the underside of it, just the frame, and the differential, everything. I took everything out, and the more I was taking out, the more rust there was. And anyway, so I start taking bits outside, start sanding them down. I put some of this, you know, the wax oil, the protective one, that the thicker kind of tar lookalike. So I start covering all the bits in this material, and then once I've done that, I start to move on underneath of the car. And as I was poking with, you know, the typical screwdriver, this section here was all rotten. It was proper. It just went straight through, and it was just rotted out. And I was like, crap, what do I do now? And here, where the brake line holder that's on there, behind it, there was just the tiniest hole. And once you start to poke it through, it's just the screwdriver just went through. So anyway, so I have never ever done anything like this before. Like I've tinkered with cars, I've changed a clutch and various bits on the other cars I had, and yeah, I'm quite handy, but I've never done body work before, and I was a bit intimidated because obviously now I poked through through this car, and then I just had holes everywhere now. And the worst of the worst was right here underneath. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can get some light through. Yeah, obviously I've painted it now with this tar, but the seal here, you can have a look there. It's actually welded all around, and just the other bits that look more bubbly is where I kind of doubled up on the welding, because I just want to make sure that I've actually sealed everything. But this bit here and that bit there, yeah, they were quite bad. So I've cut down as much as I could. I've watched about 5,000 hours of YouTube videos and how to do some body work and rust repair. And then I thought to myself, well, just buy a fucking welder. So I went to Machine Mart and bought the cheapest gasless flux core welder, and I started like practicing really on some old pieces of sheet that I had lying around for whatever reason. I started welding bits together, and when I felt comfortable, I had a go at it. So this was, as you can see here, probably you can tell, I've cut this bit out there and then trying to replace it. And then also I had to cut this bracket that holds the brakes in. By the way, this was proper seized. Like the, see, the light's terrible, but you see the nut that is on there, that connects to the rubber hoses for the brakes. It was fused. It was rusted, fused. I reckon it's never been changed, never been touched. And I have one of these wrenches and that spanners that, you know, I think it's called a flare nut spanner that's specially for brakes. But that didn't do jack shit. It was just literally rounded off. So it took me absolutely ages to take that one off. Same on the other side, is identical. But anyway, I took it off. I had to cut that bracket off. There was a massive hole down the side. And yeah, I just attempted to weld things together. And I think the hardest bit was, welding is hard, but I think just cutting things to shape, especially when it's all curved and when it's got indentation, when it's got turns, and you try as best as you can to put them to shape, but you just can't do it unless you take it to a professional body shop. It's got all the machinery to obviously bend them to shape correctly. I just couldn't do it. It has to do with a vise and a hammer, welding and beat it into shape. But here as well, you can see this. What happens is this bit I've doubled up. I couldn't actually match it to the same side, to the same shape. I had to double up to overlap it a bit. So it went around. That goes actually a little bit around, but this is still wet. But it's not great. So it's very DIY, but hopefully you know nobody's gonna ever see it. As long as the rot is cut out, I'm pretty happy with it, and things will fit back in together. The other thing is here there was another hole there somewhere. I don't know if you could just about see it. That's in the actual structure of the frame of the body, and that had to be cut out. But everything else was fine. Should I say fine? It was just a nightmare. But in case you were wondering where that is, for you that don't know, you at first glance you think, oh, that's the fuel filter just hanging on there. It's actually not. It's called a charcoal canister, and it's something to do with the vapors. They get filtered through and then fed back into the intake at the front of the the car and the engine. So I think my one is fucked because I've had some issues with it, and many on forums said to replace that. So I'm actually yet to find it. Where the hell am I gonna find a brand new one of these? And I just don't want to spend too much money on it. But anyway, so I ended up undercoating everything, sanding everything as much as I could. Even these hangers for the exhaust was just rotten, and there actually was cement on this car as well underneath. I don't know where they drove onto. There was on the differential and the subframe. There was literally actual cement on it. And it was just a nightmare to take off because some places was actually properly stuck to the metal. So there was a lot of wire brushing and everything. The hardest thing, what I would say the hardest thing of this tear down was, I'm not even going to say it was the welding, because that's just, I think it's just cutting things to size to match the holes that you're cutting down. I think that was just the hardest bit. And yeah, it's not for the light-hearted. But if you have a lot of will and shitloads of time on your hands, yeah, you can do this. You can probably do this, and I'm hoping that actually that I have cut out all that rot, and it's going to last me another 5-10 years maybe if this car will survive. I don't know, these cars are pretty notorious for their engines to blow up because they're the crappy intro version of the NC, where they weren't that strong. They used to blow up even if you're not turbocharging them or anything, just oil starvation, all that crap. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but basically I must have spent about £300 doing this myself, and that's actually on the welder. And I bought some of these cheap screw fix cutting tool. I can't remember the source called. And then I had to get an angle grinder because I used to have that battery powered one. I used to keep cutting off out on me, so I had to buy a new one. But most of the money I spent is actually on tools, which I'm going to end up keeping. One quick thing before I go: these people already know Japanese cars just rot really, really quickly. So even in the boot, there's loads of rust just coming through from the other side, and you have to. I'm going to cover in all this wax oil, the other version that's for door seals and just internal structures where obviously it's not as sticky and heavy duty as this one. I think the other one actually cures the rust as I tried it here, and actually some of these bits here, as you can see at the bottom, they were actually quite rusty, and I've sanded them off a bit and I apply that, and actually they turn it into to the same metal again. But now the next project I'm going to do with this car now, there's a couple of things I want to attempt. I want to do it very cheaply. I'm getting married next year, and I'm saving all the money throughout this pandemic as well that we have, obviously to pay on weddings, which are pretty damn expensive. But I still want to do my hobby, so without compromising, I'm just going to attempt a lot of DIY on this car. And I don't want to race it. I don't want to just transform it into a obvious cheap homemade car where you can, just see that it's been made home. It's been done homemade. I just want to do some things that are tasteful, simple, not over the top. But one thing that I will be doing, I will get some fender flares. And why is that? Because obviously where there's behind this lip here, where that guy's obviously been patching over it, on the inner side, there is rust running along. Pardon me. And there is rust running along, and although I sanded off as much as I could, it's still probably going to come through at some point, even with all the protective coatings and rust oil and rust treatment and all that shit. So the replacement panel for this, if I go for the Wreckers, actually don't know how much it costs, but I've seen it online, used one still, as 250 quid a pop, and I'm not confident to cut this out. I know the theory of it, but I'm not confident to cut this out and replace it myself. So I think the cheap alternative is to cut here where the rust starts all the way around, put a fender flare on it, get some wheels that may stick out a bit. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a spacer, or I'm going to get some different wheels that are different offset, which are probably going to get different wheels to different offset. And yeah, I'm just going to get the wheels out, the rear wheels out a bit, and so is the front, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get flares for the front. Oh yes, another thing that I wanted to mention, if anybody wants to take the side skirts from these cars, the sport version, I'm not sure how, I think on the 3.5 NCs are pretty much similar. These side skirts are practically impossible to take off without breaking the clips. It's got clips everywhere, clips there. I tried to pry with a long pry bar to pop them out. They still break. You have to use brute force. You'll feel like it doesn't come out. I pulled it somehow with some force, but gently, so I don't snap the damn side skirt. But yeah, they will break. So prepare to buy all new clips every time. So I'm probably just going to clip it in a few places. I'm not going to clip it everywhere because I have other plans for the side skirts. Actually for the rest of the car, is to actually wrap it, do a DIY wrap. And I know you have to pay for a good wrap. I know you have to spend the money. I completely appreciate that. And I know the guys that do vinyl wraps and everything like that, they do it for, for good quality, and they charge for it, and that's fine. But like I said, I haven't got the money and I really want to try. So because this car has actually got some scuffs, especially here with the side skirts, they're pretty fucked. And yeah, I was going to wrap them. I was going to wrap the whole car, and just again do another DIY thing. The other thing I was going to do, apart from put in suspension, supercharge it, bush it, all the new wheels and all that shit, the interior is pretty scratched, and I have attempted to do a DIY kind of like sanding lightly off and with a heat gun trying to melt, but it just looks horrible. So I'm going to wrap the interior as well. I'm going to wrap the door cards, and this is going to be my first type of wrap. I'm going to do the interior first. I'm going to take these door cards out for ease. Probably I might do it a chrome or something shiny like the dashboard. I don't want to like super flashy or anything like that. I just want to not to look scratched, especially, yeah, you can't see it, but on the driver's side, there must have been, I don't know why, but there's just loads of scratches on the pillar, just there, loads of scratches. Can't work out why, but they just are. So I'm gonna try and wrap the interior, all these plastics, all these cheap, because they look cheap as well, it's nasty. But yeah, that's some of the plans that I'm probably, I don't know if I'm going to film it or not. Probably going to do like another update as to other things that I've done all together. But yeah, this, if you guys want me to do any more videos, I'm just going to do it for pure fun. I don't want to do any videos where just to start to get loads of followers and just get paid or anything like that. I'm just going to do pure fun. And if people want any extra information about these NCs and the quirks and the faults that they normally have, then yeah, just let me know in the comments, and I'll take a view on it. Yeah, thanks guys, thanks for watching.